So what gravity did we start the boil at?
19.4 Plato.
And where are we aiming for?
I'm going to try get up to 38.
So literally half the liquid in that kettle is going to be gone by the time we're done.
Yeah.
Wow. So should we be about halfway? Is that how it works?
There we go. 27.3.
So there's a way to go.
Yeah.
There's a whole other session beer in there for us to get through. Absolutely wild.
You want to try it as well?
Oh yeah. Okay. Cocoa shreddies. Anyone?
In an adventure that started with a homebrew back in 2021, we're brewing a collab pastry stout with the one and only Omnipollo. Last week, after a couple of beers, we went through the first few adjuncts of cinnamon, vanilla, and coconut. And then literally went for a night out on the town while the 10-hour boil finished up, and this lovely man kept watch. In the morning, we drove out to the harbour to choose our coffee for the beer. Given our slightly fuzzy heads, everyone was looking forward to a caffeine hit. Everyone, that is, except me. I was re-watching Henok's cryptic advice about what coffee to choose.
I think you should be very, clear around what you're looking for as you walk in there, but also be open-minded,
Right.
It's a tough balance to strike.
And desperately trying to remember everything I've ever learned from James Hoffman's channel.
Specialty coffee is a little bit like wine, except for one thing. The very highest priced wines are often the most elegant, the most kind of classic, the most beautiful wines, but they would be familiar and enjoyable to most people. The highest priced coffees tend to be the most unusual, the least kind of coffee tasting coffees.
Ready to blag my way through a tasting at Stockholm's famous Standout Coffee.
Standout Coffee,
Yeah.
firstly, a beautiful place.
Thank you.
Tell me about your roastery.
So, Standout Coffee is my business partner Oscar's and my baby since the last couple of years. It grew out of this idea that both Oscar and myself have won the National Barista Championship a few times. We've represented Sweden at the World Barista Championship. What happens when you compete at that level is that all the competitors have the most amazing competition-style coffees. They're the most exclusive varieties, the most advanced processes, and really the most complex coffees in the world. At the end of that, you say, hey buddy, I see you're using this, let's swap. You go back to your coffee bar and you share it with your fellow enthusiasts. But so few people got the chance to taste these coffees. So Oscar and I, 2 or 3 years ago now, started Standout Coffee with the ambition of bringing competition-style coffees to a much broader audience. So we buy some of the rarest coffees in the world. We sell them in this less traditional coffee packaging.
It's beautiful.
It's more like a gift box, perfume, something like that. This is our brand, Standout Coffee, and then we create a stage for the producer. We always have the name of the producer of the coffee here. And so you get 100 grams. We have subscribers in 70 countries now. So every month I select a really, really amazing coffee and we roast it here and we ship it out. So that's the core of what we do.
So potentially we're going to have world barista quality coffee going into this beer.
Oh, absolutely. I've selected, together with you, three different coffees that we can choose something from. And they're all really, really, world-class coffees.
Right.
It's hard for me to describe how amazing these are.
Well, I'm a coffee lover. I wouldn't call myself a coffee expert, so I'm hoping I'm going to be able to pick it out and be like, this is world-class coffee. But of course, what we're most specifically looking is for something that can go with the cinnamon, with the vanilla and the rich kind of malty and caramel kind of notes that are going to be into this beer.
So I've chosen 3 very different coffees because I want you to be able to choose what you think will go best together with the other ingredients. The Colombian coffee the variety is Pink Bourbon, and I spoke previously about the importance of naming the producer. In this case, It's Joan Vergara, who's a third-generation coffee farmer. And he has, after harvest, taken this pink Bourbon and they, for a very short time, fermented it in an anaerobic environment, so without oxygen. But then it's gone through a wash process, which is a very traditional process. It gives you like a really clean cup. The second cup is an Ethiopian coffee. The variety is Geisha, and it's grown by Adam and Rachel Overton. And this coffee has also gone through a much deeper anaerobic fermentation, which will highlight like the fruity notes of this coffee. And then it's a natural process coffee, which again will underline the fruit forwardness of the cup. The third and final coffee, which I have chosen for you to consider, is a coffee from Brazil. It's a red Catuai variety, and it's produced by a man named Inácio Soares. And what he has done, because he and his family have attained great success in coffee producing, so what he and his father started a wonderful project where they are supporting the friends and neighbors of their farm, helping them process the coffee cherries after harvest, so that everybody in the entire region can raise the level of quality and thereby get a better price when they sell the coffee. And this will be a little bit more like chocolatey, nutty, but with like definite fruit notes in there also. So this is the Joan Vergara Pink Bourbon, which is very nice and clean. And if you'll allow me to have you smell. It's not for everybody, but it's one of the ways I really enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to get your head almost fully in there.
And all of these coffees are roasted last week, so they've rested perfect amount of like 7 days.
Right. I didn't know coffee needed resting.
So
everyone's like freshly roasted coffee is.
Well, it's true, and again, you know, compared to traditional coffee, commercial coffee, the coffee we often consume the coffee, you know, months after it's been roasted. While here, a fresh roasted coffee gives off a lot of gas, so that if you let it rest, sit for a week, 5 days, something like that, then it just opens up. And the truth is that especially the Ethiopian coffee, now here's the Brazilian coffee, that's a little bit more fermenty character, will become even more transparent in its character if you rest it for 14 days.
Right.
But now we're getting geeky. So for me, this is very like clean, high quality acidity, and also like yellow fruit, but also like floral, high complexity.
Yeah, I mean, what's really striking about that coffee is the kind of the lack of real roast. It is like you say, there's acidity to it. There's like, I don't know, sort of red berry. You said yellow fruit, sort of tropical kind of, yeah, because that's sort of where I went with that. Certainly after I swallowed and it sort of opened up a bit. Yeah, we never consider, as beer geeks, you know, we look at a dark beer and we know what kind of character we're often going to get. With this, I'm looking at a dark liquid and picking up mango, which is
so well put. I couldn't have said it better myself. That's such a perfect way of describing this coffee. You look at this dark liquid and you get yellow fruits, tropical notes, and mango, and what you described there is really like you know, a classic, really great specialty coffee experience.
It's almost kind of a dissonance, isn't it, between the visuals and the actual.
And I mean, you spoke about like dark roasted coffee. I mean, obviously, most of us anyway grew up on traditional commercial dark roasted coffee, where very much of what you're experiencing sensory wise is a byproduct of the roast. It's like charring the the steak or something like that. So we try not to char
Yeah.
the produce.
Leave the good work of the farmer as intact as you can, I guess. Yeah.
So moving on to the Ethiopian, I'm gonna. You spoke so eloquently, so I'm gonna be quiet for a little bit and let you.
Much more savoury, much less acidity. I'm getting sort of little bits of spice, of I don't know, like cardamom or something, and then a really raisin. I can't quite find the fruit.
No. Yeah, I think you're spot on. So this is so I mentioned that this had gone through a little bit more of a heavier anaerobic fermentation, and the fermentation process in a oxygen-free environment really usually like intensifies the fruit notes and often can go more towards prune, raisin kind of qualities. And I think that the spice quality here is spot on as well.
It's got a slight malted bread. Like we have a brand called Saurine in the UK, which is a very dense, sweet, muscovado-y, raisiny kind of bread, and it really reminds me of that.
And so when some people taste these types of coffees, they will go to taste descriptors as you mentioned muscovado. They will start talking about like cognac or sherry or something like that, which I also think comes very much from the fermentation. Fermentation.
I mean, there is on the aroma as well. Like in beer, we'd call it funk, like a little kind of slightly kind of naughty, chaotic, natural aroma to it, which wasn't in the first one at all.
No, and that's I love that you say that, because in coffee we also talk about like funkier coffees. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, let's move on to the third cup, which is the Brazilian coffee by Inácio Soares. So again, describing a little bit about the situation for Inácio and his friends and neighbors in that region is that the elevation is closer to like 1,800 or 800 to 1,000 meters above sea level, while the Ethiopian coffee is from 2,000 meters above sea level, and João Vergara's, I think, was 1,800. And so really the higher you get, the more pronounced usually the acidity will become. So the Brazilian coffee has a more muted acidity. It's still there, but it's more muted. Some people would call it like a little bit more balanced of a cup because of that.
Yeah, I think balance is a good way. It's got a roastiness. The acidity is lower. It's got super niche where you haven't skinned an almond, so you get that kind of powdery brown skin to it, but then also the kind of nutty creaminess underneath, and then lots of sort of really dark chocolate notes.
And a lot of our customers who order this coffee by Inácio are ordering it for like the espresso grinder, because they know 85% of the espresso-based beverages they sell are flat whites or cappuccinos or the like, and so this goes really well with either cow's milk or oat milk or something like that.
If you were choosing a coffee for this particular beer, which is malt-wise, it's very caramel heavy, kind of fudgy is the word we kept using yesterday as we were brewing. Then we've got like cliche aromas of cinnamon, like really rich cinnamon, and the vanilla we're going with a Puerto Rican, very spicy, slightly boozy kind of vanilla. Which of these three do you think would work best?
So for me, and obviously we have different sort of points of departure, but for me, I would choose the Ethiopian. What you're describing, for various reasons, what you're describing there are pretty intense ingredients or aspects, so I would want to add a coffee that doesn't disappear. Where you can, when you're drinking the beer, you can sort of taste like, oh, okay, this thing in the back, that's the coffee aspect of this beverage. But also, I think that the story with Henok, knowing the producer of the coffee, really marries this whole project together really well.
Yeah. Yeah, we tell stories over beer, so beers should have stories as well. Wow, I'm torn, Bradley.
I do think, so if you want to go the other route, where the coffee more complements the other more intense ingredients, then I would lean towards the Brazilian coffee.
So it's either sort of amping up what we have,
Yes.
or it's adding complexity
Yes.
to what's there.
Yeah.
So I love the Ethiopian. I love like your point that we can add some complexity, add something new to it. But what I love about the Brazilian, that rich caramel, the nuttiness, I think that's going to bring more and more to the ingredients that we've got. It's going to, I love beers that scream one particular thing where we've gone for, we're trying to recreate the cinnamon roll and the desperately needed coffee in the morning. And I think that's the kind of coffee that really speaks that to me. So I think we'll go Brazilian and maybe drink Ethiopian while we finish the brew.
No, fantastic choice. It's a wonderful coffee. Ignacio himself will be thrilled to be part of this project in this way, and I think it's a great choice.
Wow, well thank you so much for that. I've learned so much about coffee, so much about myself.
Oh! In a good way.
In a good way, yeah. I'm walking away a richer person.
Good.
And with slightly less of a hangover, so thank you.
Fantastic, thank you.
With the coffee selected, we headed back to the brewery where the team were tidying up a very, very sticky brew kettle, then transferring the beer to fermenter, where it would bubble away until it reached 12% ABV. Once there, it was conditioned in steel over the delicious ingredients we'd chosen, then kegged and shipped to the UK. Unfortunately, due to delays, it actually missed our birthday festival, but arrived just in time for Christmas. So we launched it at the Beer Merchant's Tap in Hackney, alongside the very best mince pies Brad could find.
So we're down at the Beer Merchant's Tap launching our Omnipollo collab, our cinnamon, coffee, vanilla, 10-hour boiled
Yes.
pastry stout
Yes.
with a sneaky addition of coconut that Henok, he jokes about including, and then just did.
Just did it. Why
Threw
not?
it in. Yeah.
That's Henok for you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been one of the most revelatory experiences in the brewing, in brewing for me ever. We already knew what Omnipollo go through to put their beers together, but now we truly understand the epic levels of interest and attention to detail
Oh, big time.
that goes into
Big
the
time.
ingredients.
In every sort of concern
Yeah.
throughout the brewery.
So shall we give this beer finally a go? We brewed this in August. We're drinking it early December.
Yeah, it's been a long time in the making, eh?
A lot of pressure building up.
Oh.
So the cinnamon roll we've nailed.
I'm getting cinnamon, vanilla-y kind of notes.
Yeah, definitely like vanilla drizzle and raisins in abundance, raisins and dates. So that maybe there's some raisins in that cinnamon roll.
Yeah,
More of a
yeah,
Costa
yeah,
Coffee
yeah.
approach to the cinnamon roll,
Yeah.
but we'll accept it. So yeah, that's definitely there. We're lacking a bit of the coffee element.
Well, yeah, there's not that much pronounced coffee roastiness for sure.
No, I think there's like a kind of nice green, lighter roast coffee, but the coffee we chose was dark and foreboding and
Yeah.
like what you really expect from like a really heavily roasted coffee, which is burnt toast and umami naughtiness. And that's not quite there on the aroma. Should we see if it's
Yeah, we should
it's there
dive
on the
in.
flavour?
So Brad's breakfast.
Scott!
Let's go.
So now I'm getting a bit of coconut. On the finish there's a bit of coconut and it's a little bit oily.
Yeah.
Definite, like a little cinnamon burn. A little fireball whiskey element
Yeah,
to
I'm
it, the
getting some
booze
burn
and
at
the
the back of my
cinnamon.
mouth, yeah.
So there's definitely some cinnamon there. But again, yeah, more coffee.
Okay, Johnny, it's not a roasty, toasty coffee, but the idea of Brad's breakfast, from my perspective, was a milky iced latte. So it's kind of like a very mild coffee.
Yeah, I mean, this does hark back to the time when I said bring some flavours to inspire you when we did that homebrew, and you went to Costa.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very milky latte coffee element. So if we did this again, more coffee,
It's like the most expensive milky latte coffee in the
yeah,
world.
ever made, yeah. So more of that, more coffee. I can't believe I'm saying this, more coconut.
Yeah, not a lot of coconut. Not a lot. I'm not even a fan of coconut. I could have a bit more coconut.
You can have a little bit more coconut.
Yeah, a little bit more of that oiliness.
But otherwise, cinnamon and pastries, I thought the cinnamon was quite a controversial element. Actually, it works really nicely. It adds a nice
Do you know what, Johnny?
fiery booziness.
It's Christmas time, right?
Oh, where's the
You've
one
already
that
got
I...
yours.
Yeah.
We've got a bit of cinnamon already.
And again, Brad, no holds barred, straight to Aldi for these.
I mean, that tastes great.
Oh, that's going to work. Wow. You know, one of our Patreons at the launch said, have it with the mince pie. And she was right.
That's
It's a stunning match. It is just additional filling.
It's all opening up now.
Yeah, is it?
That Aldi,
Becoming clear.
that Aldi mince pie.
Well, we'll throw them in the mash next. No.
We've gone very high.
No, Hannah.
We've gone from like incredible highbrow to the most sort of like basic.
As always, Bradley, you brought the level down, and I love you for it.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much, Henok and Carl, for having us at Omnipollo. You know, the fact that we couldn't condense that into one video is just a sign of how exciting and memorable that trip was. And the beer is stunning. The beer is pretty much what we wanted from at least one half of our breakfast. So maybe we just serve it next to a coffee if it's not big enough for us.
Look, man, you know, sometimes there are happy accidents. We didn't get to drink it in the summertime, but we get to drink with a mince pie.
There you go.
And
Where it was supposed to be.
that's great.
Today, they don't see things the same. To walk like two out the door, then you have magic. One comes around, one today. They don't see things the same. To walk like two out the door, then you have magic.